Hello everyone and welcome to race 3 of our fixed setup season. As you can see, our lap times are a little slower than normal. The track development was pretty interesting today. Even though we're running the same weather conditions we do and the same setup we used last time, it felt completely different, and that reflected, but it should still make for some good racing. As you can see, we have a stacked field today with 11 people. Unfortunately, the 12th man, William Booth, had to check out for some reason. Hopefully we'll see him in the next race. Well, let's get things rolling here. You already know the lineup, so I'm not going to go through it, but as you can see, there's a lot of fast, talented drivers and a bunch of beautiful Pro 4 trucks out there. Quite the piece of machinery. iRacing's done a wonderful job portraying them and getting all their strengths and weaknesses put together for a pretty realistic racing experience. As I mentioned before, this is a fixed setup race, so everyone is running the same setup, which can make race conditions a little bit challenging because normally you'd continue to tune your vehicle as the track conditions evolve, but we're all stuck with the same one on this. Some people like it, some people are struggling with it, so we'll see how it goes. We're going to roll through the whoop section here and get ready to go green. Bodie's going to lead us up to the line here. The first place car gets to call the ball. As soon as the light turns green, he can choose when we go. And it looks like we're off. It's always intense to go green on this track with this many cars because it tends to bottleneck into turn 1 here. But it looks like Jack's going to dive way down to the inside, but he doesn't make contact, and Bodie stretched out his lead. Let's take a look at that from up top. Looks like Lon takes a weird bounce. Jeremy gets underneath him. Jack gets up underneath him to go almost 3 wide. The top 3 are fanned out nicely here, and Jeremy pulls up alongside Gary Green. Lon slides up into Josh Edmonds a little bit. We'll see if we can make the pass here. Oh, and we have Scott Ford is over and around again. Let's see what happened back here. Let's take a look at this restart from a little farther back. Looks like Scott got a little squirrely, gets in contact with Tom, and Douglas jumps right over the top of him, and Sean T-bones Tom. Everybody's back on all 4 wheels at the moment. I think Scott maybe got to turn back over. We'll go on board here with Nick. Looks like Gary Green's going to give Jeremy a little push off the tabletop here, see if they can make the landing on the other side. Not quite, but nothing bad happened. That's always good when you get that close to someone coming off of that jump. Jack's going to make a little contact with that outside wall. It likes to suck you in. They're all going to go door to door through turn 2 there. Up over the tabletop. Into the tricky right-hander. Lon's going to pull up alongside Josh. Then he's going to go over and run this right sideline. You can see he gets a lot of speed coming around the outside here. Jeremy's going to run the low line so they can go side by side. But the high line prevails. Looks like Bodie's off to a comfortable lead here. Josh is going to slide up in. Oh, here comes Gary applying some pressure to Jeremy. He's going to dive back to the inside for turn 3 here. We'll see if he can get underneath him. Jeremy goes a little bit wide, but carries enough momentum to keep Gary behind him. It's always a tough section of track to make a pass on right there. It seems like you have a ton of opportunities to do it, but it's hard to ever pull it off. We have a couple of newcomers in this race, Sean Stranton and Douglas Rosenquist. One of the main purposes behind this fixed setup series is to get newer drivers interested in it and get them door to door with people so they can compete without having to be an expert setup builder. Unfortunately, there are several different driving styles when it comes to off-road and, well, any racing, but some setups cater to others a little bit more, so might be one of those things to where it's your day or it's not, but everyone's running the same setup, so it's pretty fair. It's just a matter of whoever can adapt and overcome the fastest. Shuffle back through the field here. Everybody's car is still pretty clean, a little bit damaged. The back of the pack's always a tough place to be. Seems like a lot of damage gets sustained back there, and once you have damage, it's hard to keep your car on track. Bodie takes turn 3 nice and smooth there, gets a good bounce over the top. Looks like Josh Edmondson cleared him. We'll see if he can gain ground on Bodie here. Running a high line, carrying a ton of speed, and Lon's carrying it way up there. Looks like he missed the wall. It seems to be pretty proven that a wide line is the fast way around this track. having a fixed setup race is a good way to compare the difference between inside and outside lines and different driving styles, different approaches, different exits. And of course, evolving track conditions play a role on all those factors. In the practice session, we had a lot of blue groove. The track started to look something like you'd see in a dirt track oval race. Not very common in the short course, mostly because the tracks are so long and just the way the cars run different lines, you don't see that kind of development. Josh is going to send it way down to the entry of turn 2, trying to make up some ground on Bodie, who's off to a pretty comfortable lead. Jeremy and Gary have been battling the whole time. We'll see if any one of them has something for Lon Franks here. We'll take an overhead shot here. This will be a good way to compare the different lines. You see the white cars taking the outside. Jeremy and Gary are taking the inside line through there. See how much more speed that outside line carries coming off the tabletop here. It's a little bit, but not too significant. Oh, Jeremy checks up a little bit and Gary gets into him. I think Jeremy's letting off the gas because this is the halfway point of our race and we've implemented a competition caution. The goal of that is to group the field back up and get a more competitive race towards the end. It's something that they do in, or at least they used to do in the Lucas Oil series back when I had MAV TV. I've since boycotted all satellite television and gone strictly streaming because it's just not worth it to me, especially once they moved MAV TV to the premium package. And you know, that was the final straw for me because you don't mess with an off-road racer's shows. You know, there's not a whole lot out there for us, and when we finally get something and you want to take it away, it's going to cause problems. So the side effect of that is I'm a bit out of the loop on modern short course racing, but I have this, so I'm perfectly happy. It's like one of those bird in the hand is worth two in the bush sort of deals. Well, Bodie's going to lead us back to the line here. He's going to call the ball, decide when we go. It's a single file restart in the order they crossed the line on lap 8. Here we go. Bodie gets a good drive into the tabletop. We'll see if Josh has more speed coming down the backside of that berm. Looks like a nice even spread coming into turn 1. Bodie's off to a pretty comfortable lead again. Good enough to run a wide line into turn 2. Jeremy comes up, gives Lon a little tap. Nick runs a little wide. Comes Scott and newcomer Sean. Unfortunately, Tom Depke had to pit, and he's just now catching up to the back of the field. Hopefully he had any necessary repairs made and possibly has a set of fresh tires to make a charge here in the second half of the race. Jeremy's going to try to run around the outside of Lon here. Josh and Bodie way up front. We'll see if Josh can get a fender up on Bodie, maybe make a pass here. That competition caution is definitely the biggest challenge for the leader because usually the leader's off to a pretty comfortable lead, no pressure, just running his lines. But now he has somebody charging right behind him again. And not to mention, short course racing is a contact sport, and it's really not that exciting if you're just out there driving around by yourself. It's a sport that wants to be raced in a pack environment. Unfortunately, the cars and tracks are very unpredictable, especially during race conditions, so it's not like GT racing where you can just, you know, group up into a peloton and make 100 laps. Things happen, people get out of control, people make mistakes, and it's hard to recover from those because these guys are fast. They usually don't make mistakes, so when you do, it's noticeable. They'll definitely make up some ground on you or pull away. Lon goes high, Jeremy goes low, and Gary's going to run right up the middle here. We'll see if that gives him a run on Jeremy coming into turn 1 here. Looks like everybody's going to hold their position pretty good. That's interesting to see how different lines can come out the same. Lon's going to check up and run that right side. Jeremy's going to try to bounce and slingshot underneath him. Not quite enough to make a slide job, but enough to get door to door with him. Let's go back and compare these lines a little closer here. Lon's going to go out around the side, take a smoother line. Jeremy's going to bounce up the inside. It seems to be pretty comparable. And I like to see that. It's nice to have a track that you can run multiple lines, but taking the low line into turn 1 is definitely not fast because of that long back straight. As you can see, Gary's going to make up a lot of ground right there. Let's go on board and see what it looks like from inside these trucks. It's a miracle there aren't more accidents considering the limited visibility. In the actual race, there would be a mirror up there that you can see the car behind you, but that's about it. Most drivers are either using BR, have a triple screen monitor, or buttons set up on their steering wheel so they can look left and right when they need to, because when you're sliding sideways and looking out the windshield, you have no idea where the car next to you is, and it makes it really hard to do any kind of slide passing. Looks like first and second have this setup pretty figured out, and they're checked way out front. Looks like Bodie's going to go a little wide, Josh is going to stick to the inside line. You can hear the throttle control these guys are using. It's very important not to spin the tires when you accelerate. You have to ease into it and only give it as much gas as speed you have. Like I've said before, these cars have 750 to 800 horse, they weigh 4,000 pounds, and on a loose surface like dirt, you can be going 60 miles an hour and give it too much gas and spin the tires. It's very important as a driver to listen to the sound of your car and be able to tell when you're getting traction, but not so much that you bog the engine down too much and get out of your power band. It's definitely a give and take process, and if you want to find some true speed on these tracks, you'll have to master that. And then add blue groove. As you can see in turn 3 there, it's starting to get a shiny black spot. And that's what happens when you get a bunch of traffic in the same line. That shiny surface is just as slick as it looks, and when you come into your apex and expect the front of your car to grab and rotate, it just pushes and slides out to the loam. So you have to adjust your entry to the corner to continue to get a fast exit. Speaking of which, Josh takes a wide entry to try to get a run on Bodie, and Jeremy goes a little wide, and Gary goes for the pass. It looks like he's going to make it. We'll see if Jeremy can run back up. Gary threw him a bit of a fender. Jeremy feeds it back, gets onto that blue groove, and they slide out. We'll see who gets the better bounce coming into the final turn of this race. Looks like Bodie's going to hold on to the lead and take the win. Josh Edmond is second, Lon Franks in third. Jeremy's going to hold on to the number 4 spot. Gary Green in 5th. Jack Kirk in 6th. Nick Leone's going to get the 7th spot. Douglas in 8th. Scott in 9th. Sean in 10th. And here comes Tom Depke, who unfortunately had another brutal race in the number 11 spot. Well, that was a great race. I hope everybody had fun. Let's take a look at the official results here. As you can see, we had a pretty full house today, but there's always room for more. So if you're interested, go to iRacing League directories, look up RekLes Racing Pro 4, and join. Looks like Bodie Cryer's going to go for some victory donuts here, or maybe a victory send it through the arch and over the wall. That's one way to do it. Well, congratulations to Bodie Cryer for taking the win in Race 3 of the Fixed Setup Series. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe and check the description box. We have 2 races a week right now, a fixed setup race on Wednesdays and an open setup on Sunday.